Okay, you ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and start the meeting tonight. And the first thing that we need to address tonight is the election of officers. After the election and the swearing in of having the office of the new elected members, we're required to go ahead and open up the meeting with election of officers. And so I'm just going to go ahead and open up the floor and take a nomination for chairman. It's just open the floor. Anybody can chime in and make a nomination.
I'd like to nominate Eddie Pless.
Okay. Do we have any other nominations for chairman? Okay. Everybody in favor, say aye. Everybody, so we're good to go then, Doug. So you're the chairman then. Pretty quick.
Do I do the next part?
Yeah, you're in charge now.
All right. Vice Chair. At this time, we'll open up the floor for nominations for Vice Chair.
Phil, you've served it. You want to do it again?
That's fine by me. Whatever you guys want to do.
Any other nominations? Okay. All those in favor of Phil being the Vice Chair, please say aye.
Aye.
All right. I've got to go, so you can have...
No, you're
No, I'm just kidding.
Pass it on to you.
Okay. This time, we'll call the meeting officially to order. I will, if you'd please stand. We'll have a moment of silence led by Mr. Van Huss and then the pledge of the flag.
Please pause for a moment of silence. Thank you. Attention, salute, pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item on the agenda is to approve the consent agenda and regular agenda. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
And a second?
Second.
Okay. So, all those in favor, say aye.
Let's discuss one thing on the
Yes.
regular agenda. Can we not kind of, on the board policies, combine all of them except for maybe one, and that would be the scheduling of the time and place of the meetings?
Yes,
If that's okay with everyone.
yeah. If we left the last two, the last one, the next to last one is school board meetings, and the last one's testing. If maybe we
Okay.
could leave those two separate, I think that would be helpful. Yep.
Okay. That's
Okay.
okay with everybody?
Yep.
So we're good to lump A through E on the regular agenda. Do we need to vote on that?
Yes.
Okay. Do I have to have a motion?
Yes. You probably need
Okay.
to have a motion.
Can I get a motion to lump A through E together in the regular agenda?
So moved.
Okay, and a second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, we'll lump those together. Okay? At this time, we have some special recognitions. I'll turn it over to Mr. Van Huss.
If Mr. Thompson could come up, he's going to recognize Teachers of the Year.
Good evening, Board. Thank you all. The Teacher of the Year program recognizes and honors outstanding teachers in Tennessee. We know our teachers care about children and devote their lives to enriching the lives of our wonderful children. We also know a teacher's nightmare is tying a wet shoelace when it hasn't been raining. And we also know that it takes a big heart and a large coffee to shape the minds of our students. So tonight, we'd like to recognize our 2020-2021 Teachers of the Year. So if you'll come up when I call your name. For Eastside Elementary, we had Sarah Dunford and Nicole Horn. And we do know that some of the teachers were not able to make it tonight. Harold McCormick, Amy Cole, and Emily Whitehead. Westside Elementary, Lindsay Massard and Laura Blevins. T.A. Duggar, Brandy McLeod, and Elizabethton High School, Jason Clevenger. And we do have certificates for you, but we had to wait on the board chair to be named so they can sign a certificate, so you will receive those in the mail. And I think, Nicole, you're going to... Did you want to come down? At this time, once we have all our school nominees and winners, we also then have district winners. So I'd like to recognize our, one of them is not here tonight, Amy Cole is a district winner. But we have a little gift, Jason Clevenger, as well as Brandy McLeod. So thank you, congratulations. I was going to shake hands, and can't do that. So once again, we appreciate you all. Thank you all so much for your hard work.
Congratulations to all those, and we really appreciate your hard work. Next, we have a presentation. Mr. Van Hussel, again, I'll turn that over to you from the Betsy Bees program.
We have some members of the Betsy B program here that will be sharing some information. Mr. Agan will begin that.
Well, good evening, and thank you. My name is Mr. Agan, and I am the new agriculture instructor at Elizabethton High School. It's an honor to be here with you tonight, and thank you for the opportunity to share a little bit about what's going on with the program. Before I say too much, I just want to say thank you to the entire system. I've been very warmly welcomed, and I appreciate the leadership of Brian Colbert, our CTE director, and Principal Dr. Minton. I appreciate those. So tonight we're going to talk about the Betsy Bee program very, very quickly. Some of you guys may or may not know that we have honeybees on campus of Elizabethton High School. And this gives our students the opportunity to learn about the importance of bees in conservation and agricultural production. And it also gives them hands-on opportunities to harvest the honey, process the honey, and even bottle the honey. So I've got two great representatives that I'm sure you'd rather hear it from them than from me. So I'll turn it over to them.
So my name is Dalton Sharp, and I'm a freshman enrolled in Mr. Agan's Agri-Science course. And basically today I just wanted to share the Betsy Bee program with you all. And here's my co-host.
Hello, I am Shalane Phelan. Like Dalton, I am a freshman in Agri-Science. I enjoy helping with the bee program. This semester I am excited to share about the program.
So the Betsy Bee program was started a few years ago, and it was by Miss Hilton, and she was able to secure a grant from the Whole Kids Food Foundation. And this fall we were able to have our first honey harvest, and it was actually pretty good. There's quite a few people there, so we were kind of impressed.
This is our beekeeper mentor, Mr. Fulton. He has years of experience in keeping bees. He was able to come present a lab for the students interested in the harvest. We appreciate his help.
The process begins by taking the frames out of the hive and then proceeding with a hot knife to melt the wax. And then from that point, you can actually grab the wax that's coming off, and you can actually eat it. It's got the texture of bubble gum. So, yeah.
Once the honey is uncapped, we place the frames in a machine called an extractor. The extractor spins really fast, which slinging the honey out of the honeycomb and drawn down through a filter. The honey settles overnight and we bottle it.
The honeybees on campus actually are very useful. They open up opportunity for students to see how real-world impact is affected by our environment. Not only do the bees provide us with delicious honey, they also help pollinate our gardens and keep our community healthy.
After helping the honey harvest this year, EHS Ag students are excited to help the Betsy Bee program. Seeing the product from the hive to the jar helps us develop into informed consumers.
Thank you for your time.
We have some honey samples and stickers we want to give to you.
So we will, if it's okay, we'll just set them over here on the ledge, and then when you guys are finished, you guys are each going to get a little sample of honey. This is fresh, straight from the hive. It's really delicious, and so we appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Agan. Okay, at this time, we're going to have just a brief break just for those. If you're welcome to stay for the entire meeting, but if you'd like to leave, need to leave this time, you're more than welcome to do that. So give you just a minute to head out if you would like. Thank you, guys. I love this. Okay, gotcha.
You caused some trouble,
Do
Mike.
I come along?
What?
I'll ask them if they want to say anything about their retreat. Okay.
Said, why it's just half a day? Honey, about like 20 to food for 7 hours a day. That's right. I'll be in there tomorrow.
Okay, is that first? Got the top, okay. Okay, and there's not anybody. Okay, at this time, we'll resume, and it's time for citizens to speak, and we did not have anyone request to do that, so at this time, we'll move on. Before I call Mr. Van Huss for the director's report, I'd like to say on behalf of Phil and Mr. O'Quinn and I, welcome to Jamie and Mike. We really want to welcome you to, it's an honor to serve in this role, and it's an honor to serve with both of you, and we look forward to the next 2 years of doing that, 4 years for you, 2 years maybe for some of us. And congratulations again to Phil on his re-election and his committed time to serve in this role. We really do appreciate all of you, and we do look forward to this. At this time, I'll turn it over to Mr. Van Huss for the director's update.
Thank you, Mr. Pless. Again, welcome. We're glad to have you and excited about the next 4 years for you serving on the board. Lots of great things going on and many more in the future. I want to start by continuing to thank our teachers and staff for their tremendous work. We've made it within a half day of the first semester, and it's gone so extremely well, and it's just a testament to our people. There's no question that the challenges this year have been unbelievable, but our people in every step of the way, they've met that challenge, and it's just been an honor and a privilege to work with them and see how they've gone about their business and gone above and beyond. So just want to continue to thank them for that. We also want to thank our Teachers of the Year again. That's the cream of the crop of this awesome group that we have. So excited about being able to recognize them as well. You'll notice in your board packet in the consent agenda there are audit reports, and those reports came back very well. Ms. Wilson, would you like to share just briefly any highlights on those?
Mr. Van Huss asked me to share highlights on the audit reports. Well, there are one main highlight. The board audit report had no findings. School activity funds had one finding. 2 teacher logs couldn't be found. We stopped in March and went home. Who knows where those logs are? I think that our bookkeepers, our teachers, everyone in the schools did an amazing job this past year of coping, dotting the I's, crossing the T's. For the board audit, here at the central office, we had a death of our coworker and friend. We went through construction, remodeling, we worked from home. Food service has done tremendous in being able to keep everything rolling and going, and yeah, they lost some money. Hey, what does that mean when you look at the value of giving a kid a meal? That's priceless. So, all I can say is God's good. He's blessed us with wonderful, competent, and highly dedicated employees. And they still dot their I's and cross their T's.
Amen. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wilson. Briefly, again, for those, I'm sure you're aware of the fact that we went on the hybrid schedule district-wide at the beginning of this past week, and we will continue that through January the 22nd. And the main reason for that is what we've seen in the past when we've had a break is there's been a surge in cases, and so we anticipate that again after the Christmas break. So in order to minimize the impact that has on our faculty, staff, and certainly our students, we made that decision. We didn't make that decision lightly. Again, we took all the information that we had, and our main focus, our main goal is to try to have kids on campus in front of teachers as much as we can. And we felt like this was the best way to do that. We've been able to avoid a full virtual shutdown of the district, and that goes back to our people and the fact that we've had a plan in place that we monitor and adjust accordingly. So I understand the tremendous burden that places on families, even our own families, teachers and staff. So again, we didn't make that decision lightly, but we feel like that's the prudent decision to make. There are some reports that cases could potentially double from where they are now, those first couple of weeks into January, and possibly even triple into the first few weeks of February. So with all that information and what we've seen in the past, we just felt like that was the right decision. And as we get into those first few weeks of January, we'll see where we are, evaluate, and try to make the best decision we can moving forward from there. But we're committed to doing it in a safe manner, and by going hybrid, we're able to spread students out, we're able to maintain social distancing, as well as still having that personal touch and contact with teachers each week. So it's certainly not ideal, but it's better than being completely shut down and those teachers not being able to interact personally with those students. So I just appreciate your support on that and the communities as well. Again, we understand it's a tremendous burden. I also want to mention and thank Mr. Colbert. He applied for and received 2 STEM grants, a $10,000 grant for T.A. Duggar and a $7,000 grant for Elizabethton High School. So we'll see if we can't have him maybe at the next meeting to kind of talk about what those 2 programs, what that money is going to go to and how they're going to use that. Also want to thank City Council for their generous donation to the Wandale Scholarship Fund. They certainly didn't have to do that, but they understand the impact that he had and then what that scholarship means to students in our community. So we appreciate their willingness to do that. I don't know how we could have a meeting and not mention the fact that our football team won back their second state championship back-to-back. So we're so proud of them. Players, coaches, cheerleaders, band members, you know, but obviously it was a challenging season to try to maneuver with all the different things that we had to consider, but they all stepped up and met the challenge. Thanks to the administration, every decision they made was about student safety and allowing those students to have a chance to realize those dreams. So there was a lot of work that went into that. We thank the board. We also thank City Council for their support throughout that as well. We have to mention the fact that Parker Hughes and Bryson Rollins were both Mr. Football finalists, and of course, both very deserving, but of course Parker won that award, so we're very, very proud of him as well. Also want to mention construction projects. You know, we have 3 hardening of the entrance projects that we have, one at East Side, one at the high school, and one at Harold McCormick. Those are going very well. As you can imagine, there's all kinds of challenges with getting in building materials and supplies. So in all those locations, we're waiting on doors, door hardware, and windows. But for the most part, they're able to function without those in place, and so we hope to have those in first part of January. So done a very good job on the construction of those, and if you have a chance to get by and look at those, I think you'll be impressed. So it just makes it safer for our students. At TA Duggar, we have, of course, the restroom project. 2 of those were completed, I think, at the end of last week. Is that right? So we're using those. Those are very, very nice. We'll try to, if you can't swing by to see those, we'll try to get some pictures and I'll send to you. So they're working on the other 2 now, as well as 2 handicapped accessible bathrooms. One they almost have finished, another one they're just starting. So that's continuing to go well. The roof project, they've already re-roofed 3 of the outbuildings. They still like the media center, the band room, and the main building that they've started working on. So it's kind of an update on that. Last thing, Mr. Simmerly from City Council, our City Council Liaison, asked to take a few minutes and speak to us about an issue that they had at council last week. So, Mr. Simmerly.
Thank you. And first and foremost, I want to say congratulations. Jamie, I'm so proud of you and Mike. If you've never had the opportunity to run for office before, I never had 2 years ago when I first ran. And I was beyond amazed that I got elected. And I'm very proud and humble. But again, I just want to tell you, every one of you that's elected office, how proud every one of us are of you, of serving and doing it for the children. That's why we're here tonight, and that's why we do everything we do for the school board. It's all about the children. Mr. Van Huss, I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to talk tonight. I had earlier this week, I'd reached out to Richard, and we had a little something come up earlier, actually last week during our city council meeting, was the naming rights to a street we have here in town. Currently, the street name is Rogeson Drive, and the proposal was to rename the street Dave Ryder Drive. And we normally don't get a lot of phone calls, letters, communications in the newspaper, things like that when councils get ready to make a change. Before it ever got to city council, it went through the planning and zoning commissions. There was not a single person who came forward to planning or zoning and had any negative, anything to say, period. But before it got to council the week before, there was an article in the Elizabethton Star, and all of us got letters, got phone calls about changing the name. First of all, it was the businesses. Well, actually, one business spoke forward that it was a problem, just changing their stationery, changing their invoicing, things like that. Well, after we got in discussion in the council, we decided that we needed basically not to table it, but to put it off, give us 90 days to go out into the public and talk to the citizens, talk to the people that have the businesses there on Rogeson. First and foremost, we want definitely to, for Coach Ryder, we want to acknowledge him and give him something that is very should be given. But I come to the school board tonight, and I spoke earlier, like I said, to Mr. Van Huss this week, just saying, I'm coming to you to basically ask you for your eyes and your ears. You are the school system. You are the football team. You're the band, what do you call it, the touchdown club, or you know these people. You know everyone. Again, with the city council, we want to do the right thing here. We want to definitely acknowledge Coach Ryder for everything he gave to the system. But again, I'm open for ideas. Anything that you guys have, anything at all, please reach out to me or reach out to anyone on city council, the mayor, city manager. Again, we're just looking for some directions. We've bought a little bit of time here. And again, it may be that we'll just simply rename the street. But again, we're coming to you because, again, out of respect for Coach Ryder, respect for the family, and again, most of all, respect for the school system. Now, this is just one name change we'll have going forward. We'll have probably many. And we have a coach right now, I'm going to call him a very famous football coach here at the high school. We were all so tickled with him, and 2 back-to-back state championships. I mean, most of us have lived a lifetime and never seen 1 state championship in a school system. And to have 2 and have them back-to-back, I personally went to Cookeville, and I was so proud of our team. And I think we all probably had sore throats that night driving back home from yelling and cheering the team on. But again, if you could just think about this name change, any kind of direction or help that you can give us, I would be most appreciative. Jamie, I know you know, but Mr. Wilson, you may not. I am your city council liaison. I try to make most all the meetings, and if there's anything that the city can do to help, that's why I'm here. I know I speak to just about most, if not every one of you, at least once a week or a couple of times a month to discuss matters with the school board, whether it be funding for a program or whatever it may be. I'm your eyes, your ears, and I have to admit, I've got a weakness for Betsy, so you've got my vote. If it's within minutes, and it's financially doable. We do have just future FYI for the new board members. We do have some bonds that are coming up here that we're going to be paying off within the next 2 to 3 years. So I'm not saying that, we're getting out of debt, we want to jump right back in debt. But again, school systems always got buildings. Your high school is probably, 40 plus years old now. And that's probably one of the newer buildings that you have. So again, it's just food for thought, within the next 2 to 3 years, if there's anything council can do. And Richard, you're real good to blow the horn and let me know. But again, it's just, we're a team. We work together to do this. So like I said, I'm your vote, I'm your ears, and whatever we can do to help you guys. But again, I can't tell you, Jamie and Mike, and of course all of you, how proud I am that you work this school board. How proud I am to be a tiny little part of it. Last week we had our vote on council to re-elect several of our board members, and Mayor jokingly said, "Well, Mr. Simmerly, I guess you want to go back on the school board," because 2 years ago I'm not saying it wasn't. Animal shelter's tough. I'm on a lot of different boards, but they teased me about school board because it is what it is. There was a little bit of arguing or whatever, but I'll leave it at that. But I was very proud, and last week when I raised my hand to say yes, I'll definitely take the next 2 years to be back on the liaison for school board with pride. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, we thank you, Mr. Simmerly. You've always been very supportive, and we greatly appreciate that. I do want to mention one other group. We did have 5 members of our EHS chorus that sang the national anthem before the state championship game, and of course they did a phenomenal job. So we'll be looking for a way to safely honor and recognize the football team, everyone involved with that, along with those chorus members. But obviously you understand that's a real challenge right now to be able to do that. But we're so very, very proud of them and the way they represented us there in Cookeville. So that's all I have.
All right, thank you. It's time for board reports, and I will say Phil and Danny and I have had the privilege of having some Tennessee School Board Association training over our time serving at the board, and 35 years as an educator and all the trainings that I've attended, I would say that TSBA is as good, if not better, than anything that I have attended. They always just have very good ideas. They're very forthcoming, and they have our back, and I really appreciate that. And I know, Mike, you and Jamie had a chance to go to Nashville a week or two ago, and didn't know if you wanted to share, if you had anything you wanted to say about that. You don't have to, but at least wanted to give you an opportunity if you wanted to.
I would just echo what Eddie said. It is tremendously helpful training, and they point out many things that could be a problem if you're not aware, if you don't know what the law is. And a lot of it is legal issues, and honestly the appropriate role of a school board member. And it's some of it is what a school board member is not, and that's, I think, very helpful too, because you don't want to overstep your bounds or do things that are inappropriate for board members, and they're very good about that. So I would agree with Mr. Pless totally. It is very good training.
I appreciated the opportunity to go, and it was very informative and gave you your boundaries, your responsibilities as a school board member, and I appreciate that opportunity to go with Mike.
Thank you, and again, you'll have plenty more opportunities over the next few years. But again, I think it's all beneficial. I mean, everything that I've ever done with them. So, time for the student liaison report. Veronica, do you have anything you'd like to share?
I just want to say congratulations to you guys for being on the getting elected to the board, and thank you again for your participation in the town hall. It was very nice to be able to have that kind of interaction with you guys from a student level, and I'd like to think it helped have the voters be informed. So I appreciate you guys, and welcome to the board.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to the regular agenda. Again, we decided to group A through E together, so I'll read all that at this time. First item, approve the first reading of revised board policy 1.901, charter school applications. B is approve the first reading of revised board policy 6.303, interrogations and searches. C, approve the first reading of revised board policy 6.405, medicines. D is approve the first reading of revised board policy 4.400, textbooks and instructional materials. And E, approve the first reading of revised board policy 6.402, physical examinations and immunizations. Have a motion to approve.
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Second, okay. Any comments or questions?
If you'd like, I can go through a couple of these, just step through very briefly there. So just so you're aware, part of what TSBA does for us, they continually monitor our policies, and they look for things when state law changes. They provide information for us. Hey, this law's changed, so you need to look at these policies, and they give us model policies. So that's what this group is right here, our policies that they recommend us change based on some change in the law. So if you look at the first one there, 1.901, it just deals with charter schools. Before that, if you had a charter school, they had to give their application, they had to submit that to the state board, and now they submit that to the Tennessee Charter School Commission. So that's really the only change on that particular policy. If you look at 6.303, this is interrogation and searches. There's some cleanup language in here, again, to mirror some state law. And there was a section toward the back that of some things that aren't necessarily in their model policy, but we feel like we could put in a procedure. However, we feel like it provides a little more weight and a little more instruction for our staff, so we would like to leave that part in. If you look at 6.405, basically this one allows for students with asthma, with the proper documentation that they provide for us, that they can carry a self-administering inhaler. So that's the real change on 6.405. On 4.400, this is actually going to combine two policies. So after you approve this policy, we'll bring back 4.401 next month for you to rescind. But this basically combines instructional resources and materials and textbooks into one policy. So, and there's some other things there as far as the possibility of using some textbook funds on some materials that haven't always been considered textbooks. So that's what this policy 4.400 is. On 6.402, there's some cleanup language in this one, and this was brought on based on the immunizations and the potential for a vaccine. So since that's at the forefront, TSBA brought this policy up for some cleanup changes on that one as well. So that's just a brief summary of the scope of the changes on those. Anyone have any questions for me on those?
Any comments or questions? Okay. Item on the floor is to approve first reading of revised board policy 1.901, charter schools application, board policy 6.303, interrogations and searches, board policy 6.405, medicines, board policy 4.400, textbooks and instructional material, and board policy 6.402, physical examinations and immunizations. All those approved, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Next item on the agenda is to approve on first reading board policy 1.400, school board meetings. And again, I think what we wanted to talk about was potentially looking at a date or a day of the week change, and maybe even a time change, trying to make things maybe a little easier for everybody involved. So my thoughts were, and I mentioned this last meeting, that Thursdays seem to be the least restrictive day of school activities, and a number of people, again, on the board have people involved in things. What I would like to do is see us maybe move the meetings to Thursday on a regular basis.
No, 8 years ago when I got elected, they were on Thursdays at 6:30, and were for a couple of years. And does it have to be the third Tuesday or Thursday? Does it matter which week, or?
It does not. I know that city council is the second Thursday.
And we always kind
So
of followed
we have followed them, so we would obviously want to avoid that if you're interested in changing it, from, it seems, I don't know, from a financial standpoint, Ms. Wilson, does it help that it's later in the month is better? That gives us a chance to get the monthly financials included in the agenda.
And then also, 6:30 to me is, I like the idea personally of it being earlier, just for everybody involved, but then still trying to keep the community available, so not too early, but an hour's difference makes a big time, I think. So what I would like to do is I would like to have meetings on a Thursday at 5:30 on the third Thursday. So that would be my motion. Is that what I do here? Is that the right thing to do?
That sounds
Or
good.
make a
This
motion
is
it's
all
the
new.
third Thursday
Thursday.
of each month at 5:30.
Third Thursday at 5:30.
Make that the third
Okay.
Thursday.
Second? All right, any discussion? Felicia, can you make sense of what I just said? Okay, all right. So, all right, all those in favor of moving the meetings to the third Thursday at 5:30, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And I appreciate that. Last item on the agenda, approve on first reading revised board policy 4.700, testing programs. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Okay.
So the real change here is a result of the pandemic that we're currently in. As you know, there's been lots of discussion about state testing and whether or not we should do that, which we have done at the high school for this first semester, for those first semester courses. We've been told by the Secretary of Education that they will not provide waivers on testing. I don't know if the administration changes, if that will change or not. But at this point in time, that doesn't affect anything we're doing this semester. There has been talk at the state level that their plan is, and there's several things they have to do. They have to receive a waiver from the federal government. The state board has to take action, and the legislature has to take action to hold harmless teachers for these scores. But from everything that I've heard, I feel confident that's going to happen, because it's really unfair, given the nature of the situation that we're in, to hold that against teachers at this point. Likewise, we feel like that it's not fair to students to hold them to that same standard as well. So this policy, if you look on page 2, lines 8 and 9, basically what we've done is we've written in an exception for this school year, and it basically says that for this school year, EOC and TN Ready scores in grades 6 through 12 will only count if the test score will help the student's final grade. And again, it just goes further on to say that no student's grade will be negatively impacted by these scores. The reason 3 through 5 is not included in that, we've never had a weighted percentage of those scores to count for their final grade. So that's why they're not included in this, because it already doesn't count for them. So we feel like that's the right thing to do for our students. If it helps their grade, they get the benefit for that. So it still gives a student that maybe needs a good test score to improve their grade, it gives them something to work toward. So I would respectfully ask that you consider approving this item.
I like the idea. I think that's, if we're having to do it, then that's probably the best way to approach it. So any other comments or questions? Okay, item on the floor is to approve on first reading revised board policy 4.700, testing programs. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. All right. Next regularly scheduled board meeting would be on Thursday, the 21st at 5:30 here in the Mac Pierce Board of Education room. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion, we adjourn.
In a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, second. Thank you all for being here.